He came out of the door and into a long, straight hallway. He paused for a moment, turned around, looked behind him. Seven was bent over, apparently doing something to the door. What's he up to? Junpei had spoke more or less to himself, but apparently Seven had heard anyway. The larger man stood up, turned to Junpei. I was just putting one of those plates in there. It'll keep the door from locking again. Now we can come back here anytime we want. Ah, why would you want to come back here? Snake was a reasonable one. Seven thought about it for a moment before he answered. I'd like to play a little piano. Piano? Come on, let's get moving. We ain't out of the woods yet. Without waiting for an answer, Seven started off down the hallway. Snake shrugged, sighed, quietly followed. It's a lie, Junpei thought to himself. He had difficulty enough believing Seven could play the piano, but even if he could, the piano they'd just left was largely useless, the keyboard completely scrambled. If Seven wanted to come back, it was unlikely he intended to do so in order to play the piano. But if that was the case, why would he leave the door unlocked? He frowned, took one last look at the door, walked away. After some time in the hallway, they emerged into a larger, more open area. A metal grate like the door of a jail divided it in half. They shook it, but, as they'd expected, it wouldn't move. Behind the grate, 2 elevators. From so far away, it was difficult to tell if they were still operating. On the left side of the grate, a door. Unfortunately, it was locked, refused to open. Junpei took a moment to examine the left side. Next to the wall, stairs leading down. Standing guard at the top of the stairway, a large iron gate. Foreboding as it was, the gate seemed to be the sort that could be opened, unlike the metal grate bisecting the room. With luck, Junpei might be able to get it open. Female symbol. He wasn't quite sure what to make of it. Snake, naturally, was somewhat more sure. Ah, Venus, I imagine. Do you recall the similar symbols near the large central staircase? They reference many of the solar bodies. Sun, Saturn, Earth. So as you could see, that one is likely not woman, but Venus. So I assume. While they'd been discussing the symbol, Junpei realized Seven had slipped away. His absence now felt. Snake and Junpei turned around to look. Seven had left them to head down the hallway, extending to the right of the stairs. Junpei grabbed Snake to lead him in the right direction. They both headed there. Before long, the 3 of them stood in front of the door. French door. Junpei tested it, realized that unlike so many others they had encountered, it was unlocked. Almost as though he was afraid it would suddenly lock itself. Junpei threw the door open. It took only a moment for Junpei to take in his surroundings. Is this a casino?
Sure looks like one.
Before Junpei could comment, a noise startled him. Snake was shaking the door they'd just come through. As Seven and Junpei watched, he threw up his hands in frustration, kicked it for good measure. It looked as though they were once again locked in. No reason to panic, though. Even if the door had been left open, there was nowhere for them to go back there. They'd have to find another way out.
Alright, let's split up, search the room. No dawdling.
Spurred to action by Seven's words, Junpei and Snake examined the room. Question, you a betting man? Or woman? Or other? Five card? Nothing else here, I don't think.
That's a lot of expensive glasses. Even cheap drinks would taste great at a glass like this. Well, would you look at that? Someone left a bottle of booze here. Don't mind if I do. Ah, that hits the spot. Feels like my throat's burning.
He really drank it. We don't even know how long it's been there. To credit, alcohol tends to take a long time to spoil. I think it's fine. Junpei, I found this on the counter. Feels like a playing card.
Hey, Junpei, found this on the shelf.
Another card?
Those are some strange-looking chandeliers. They look like UFOs from that movie, Michelle's Farm Tools.
What the hell kind of movie is that? I actually don't know that reference.
Check out that stained glass.
How beautiful.
Huh?
Stained glass is colored pieces of glass, placed together in a frame. As I've said many times before, I need only touch it to know. I can at least discern the basic structure. Anything on this table?
Square table. Looks like a mahjong table.
Do you play Mahjong 7?
Maybe? Don't remember exactly, but I do remember a couple hands of similar rules. Figure must have played it at some point.
Excellent. Once we've vacated this vessel, I should like to play a game with you.
Can you, play?
So long as you tell me which tiles I'm eliminating, yes. I believe I have at least enough skill to defeat an amateur. However, I must ask you to remove the red tiles when we play. This is our central puzzle. We'll come back to that. A plate on it that says 2. So I've got the symbols for heart, spade, and diamond. We'll come back to that. This is the puzzle to get us out of the room. We don't have anywhere near what we need for it. Junpei, I can feel a frame here. What sort of painting is this?
Clouds, maybe?
Clouds?
Well, maybe it's a rabbit.
A rabbit. Well, it's not that. It might be a close-up of some teeth? Oh, wait, there's actually nothing there. Just a blank piece of a canvas and frame. I see. How strange. Didn't think I'd find a card here. I'll take that. There's firewood. Door's shut tight. Won't open. If I remember correctly, I believe we need to darken this room somehow.
At least this one isn't lit like the one in the first class cabin. Maybe that's why it feels a little chilly in here.
Weird looking thing floating in there. Actually, no, maybe I do have enough cards for this after all. 7 began to speak.
Oh, Baccarat. Ever played Junpei?
Junpei shook his head. He'd barely even heard of the game.
Alright then, how do I explain the rules? See, Baccarat is kind of an unusual game. You've got the banker, the player, and the whole point is that you guess which one's gonna win. Whether the banker or the player wins all depends on their hands. The way each hand works is different from other games. See, you take the number from the one's place after you add up the value of all your cards, and whoever gets the number closest to 9 wins. If your number's smaller than your opponent's, you lose. That's it. That's a bit of the explanation. Got it? Well, there's a lot more to it. Strategy, details, that sort of stuff. But what I just told you sums the core of the game. The single digit of the sum of all the cards you have. The strongest hand is a 9. The weakest, 0. You just ignore the number at the 10 spot. Get it?
He hadn't been asked for it, but Seven's explanation, rushed though it has been, was helpful. He had only half understood most of it, but Junpei felt instantly at some grasp of how victory was attained, but he had no way of knowing if the puzzle in the Baccarat table made them use of those rules, and if it did, in what way. No problem, he told himself. He'd simply have to try everything he could think of. Feeling more confident, if only slightly, he approached the table. Though, of course, should have that card. If this is an 8 in the glass, we need a 9 to beat it. Let's see what cards we have. 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. To beat a 9, 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 5 is 8. Hey, 7, are we really supposed to play Baccarat?
It's a Baccarat table. What else would we do? Stop worrying about it. Real simple. What's the opponent's hand?
Well, there's an 8 in the glass.
Alright, that's your opponent's number. If that's the case, what 3 cards do we need to get that number?
3 cards.
There are a couple indentations with white lines. Those mean we gotta put 3 cards down.
Place 3 cards here, defeat the opponent's 8. Something tells me those aren't the only rules, but let's give it a shot. Three, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's see, that is... Oh, done.
Great. Think it's telling us to take the 8?
Does it think it's telling us to take the 8?
Let's grab it.
3 cards I put down are stuck to the table. They're not going anywhere. If I remember correctly, somewhere around here should be something we could use for that. Because I believe the next item is something involving poker chips. Or sorry, not the poker chips, the thinger. Slot machines. Just trying to remember where the light switch is. Because I think that was the next thing we needed to do. Just give me a matter of figuring out where the fuck the switch is.
A little more sip.
I don't think so, I'm cutting you off. There we go. Wait, when those 2 lights turned on, I thought I heard something from the bottom of the fireplace. A coin bag! There are a whole bunch of coins stuffed into this Veller bag.
Look at all of them.
Perhaps these coins will allow us to convince the machines to move.
Oh.
Memorize this set of symbols. Clover, diamond, heart. The specific machine with those 3 symbols on the face. If I remember correctly. I heard not a noise. Well, to be honest, I don't know. Press some of the buttons and smack the machine once or twice, but nothing happened. Oh, looks like the coins got stuck. Alright, let's try this one.
Come on, you little bastards, I only need one of you.
You'd think it was random otherwise, but no, it's a puzzle by any other name. I think I hear something unlocking in there. Impressive, Junpei. It would appear to be unlocked. There's something akin to a drawer in the bottom part of the machine, yes? That's a pickup drawer for the dividend. Probably the lock for the drawer got unlocked. Please open.
Ah! Fuck! Muffin!
Hi! Thanks! Ugh! What is it? Is there something in there? Yeah, playing card. And this. A Venus key. Excellent. Now we'll be able to open the gate. Then we just need to figure out how to get out of this room. Correct. Come on, hurry up. And he's off. Playing card, Venus key. Let's put the second in my pocket. As for the card...
Oh.
I could have sworn I had 6 cards going up to this thing.
It looks like that cover's hiding something.
This is the cover. Maybe it opens up? Okay, enjoy yourself, Zaya, Ox. Stay safe. You jerk. The artwork, Muffin? I could show you when stream's about to close, but I'm nowhere near finished. And if anything, I need to make a bunch of changes and make some final lines and everything. Sadly, it's gonna take a bit. It's been a busy week. Okay, so... if I need to be in 9, that means the 8 goes in there. It seems we have another device to contend with, yes?
3 slots.
Let's see. 3 slots, a 9.
So you probably need to make 9.
Such, we already have the cards for that. You could tap and drag them over, I believe, but... actually, no, you can't. Never mind. Just tap. Done. 2, 3, 4, all set.
What happens now?
I think I heard something from the exit. Excellent work, Junpei. Seems the exit is unlocked. Easy! That barely took 20 minutes. Ah! Junpei's companions ran out of the casino and into a large open room. A room, in fact, they'd been in once before. There was little to surprise them. They already knew what their next step had to be. The iron gate still stood in place, locked tight, blocking the stairway. In the center of the gate, the Venus symbol. Their key matched up with it. Wasting no time, he shoved it into the keyhole. Oh my. Be gentle with that lock. At least take it out to dinner first before you insert your key into it. With the distinctive sound of metal on metal, he felt the lock click open. Alright, let's get this thing open.
No problem. Let me help. I've been numbed!
Thanks. Actually, thinking of it, I might need to upgrade the Nom gun again because Ox put a terrible idea in my head. But we'll get to that. Probably I'll have it done by next week. It sounds as though you've opened it. We should be able to reach C-Deck now, I imagine. You gonna be alright? I mean the stairs. Please, do not do yourself the embarrassment of underestimating me. I would be unlikely to trip, even if I were running backwards.
Good to hear.
At Seven's words, they leapt onto the stairs, jogged quickly. In no time, they found themselves to the C-Deck. Junpei ran down the stairs, a little further in hopes of checking the deck below. When he reached the water, he called back up to Snake and Seven. Just what I thought. D-Deck is underwater!
Just like the bottom of the central staircase.
The surface of the water below them was flat, like a mirror. That had not changed too greatly since they had last seen it was a relief. Junpei quickly retraced his steps, headed back to C-Deck. In front of the stairs were a pair of elevators. They appeared to be identical to the ones from the upper floor. Between them, attached to the wall, was another card reader. Next to that, a strange symbol. Lotus.
What?
See, it's got the woman, then it's got the devil horns, right?
Yeah, I see it. No two ways about it. This is a pretty good one, kid.
Seven tousled Junpei's hair in what he likely thought to be a friendly manner. Junpei feared his neck might break, even though it was clear Seven had kept his strength in check. It takes a bit to build, Muffin. It's not gonna be horror all the time. This is more psychological horror. It's meant to be tense, charged. If anything, you kind of just missed one of the dead bodies. As in, explodinated. This is a Mercury symbol. The marks you mistook for horns are a stylized version of the wings and staff. Wings and a staff, huh? So what, she beats you with the staff until you die and go to heaven? Sounds like Lotus, alright. Seven shook Junpei's head even more vigorously. The young man thought his brain was being jostled inside his skull. He began to feel ill. Unless we can activate the device, I doubt the elevator will function.
In other words, we gotta find a key card.
So I'd assume. They decided to leave the elevators alone for the time being, head back to the stairs. To the left, another hallway. A great many doors lining both sides. They seemed to stretch on forever. All three suddenly felt small.
We're not gonna have enough time to check all of these, are we?
Maybe if we can come back here. Let's check the other side. They turned around, went back the way they came. To the right of the stairs, another hallway stretched out, reaching deep into the bowels of the ship. After a few moments of moving briskly, they emerged into an area roughly the same size and shape as the one at the top of the stairs. On the left side of the room, 4 French doors.
Let's open them.
Thrilled to have found another unlocked door, he threw it open. Junpei didn't know what to make of what he saw. He stood unable to speak. Seven's eyes opened wide, his mouth gaped. After a few moments,
What is this place?
a massive room stretched in front of them, more like a cavern. Its vastness oppressive. It bore down on them. It wasn't empty. The entire room was filled with lines upon lines of beds. Simple things, little more than pipe and thin mattresses. Is this a hospital? He had at least been able to put a name to the harsh scent that pervaded the room. The clean smell of antiseptic. In the center of the room, shelves stacked with medicine, a number of devices, the function of which he didn't know. More importantly, on the back of the wall, more numbered doors. 3 of them emblazoned with single-digit numbers of red paint. 3, 7, and 8. There was a 4th door, too, but it was blank. There could be no doubt. They're numbered doors. It did strike Junpei as strange that the door between 3 and 7 should be blank. What could it mean? Let's take a look at these doors.
Good idea.
The 3 of them threaded their way through the beds toward the back of the room. Upon reaching them, they proceeded to investigate each door in turn, to no avail. Locked. Naturally. After all, there are rules to the nonary game, and to allow these doors to open easily would violate them. Unless we can authenticate ourselves with the red, the numbered doors will...
Whoa, check this out.
7 spoke up, interrupting Snake.
Look at the red. There's nothing. Don't you remember the red back at the main staircase? If there wasn't anyone in it, it said vacant.
Oh yeah, you're right.
This one doesn't even have anything on the display. You think it's broken?
Only one way to find out. Junpei and the others put their hands on the panel. Nothing. The red didn't change. They tried pulling it. Nothing. As soon as they discovered it wasn't the only red on door 8 that seemed to be malfunctioning. Door 7s and 3s also didn't work. What, they wondered, did it mean?
They've gotta be broken. That bastard. I didn't think Zero was the kind of guy who'd screw around with something like this.
Hold on. Zero's been prepared for everything so far. You're saying he's gonna make a mistake now?
That was the only thing I could think of. This thing ain't working at all.
While Junpei and 7 talked, Snake busied himself with the red. After a time, he lowered his hands and spoke. It seems as if some of the internal hardware has been removed. Hardware? That's what I said. Take a look at the underside. Junpei obliged, bent over to look at the underside of the device. A thin slit ran along the bottom. As he looked harder, he realized it was more of a slot, clearly meant to accommodate some manner of device. The other 2 were the same. Something had been removed. So the reds aren't working because somebody pulled out their guts. So I'd assume. But why? And who? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. I have no idea. Why on earth would I know something like that? And seems the others are here. Akane. No, Junpei thought. June! She stopped short, surprised to see them, very nearly bowled over by the rest of her companions, coming through the door behind her. Ace, Santa, Clover, Lotus. All of them poured out, just as surprised to see the others. Junpei and 7 were, for the moment, at a loss of words. What are you guys doing?
Where are you?
After a moment of silence and surprise, everyone talked, desperate to exchange information. They talked about the rooms they'd been through, how they'd ended up in the same place. Of course, none of it was very useful, but that hardly mattered. They were simply happy to see one another. Though the level of cheer varied greatly from person to person, each of them wearing some manner of smile, almost as though they'd forgotten about the death of the 9th man. No, that wasn't it. Perhaps thoughts of his death were what drove them to smile at one another. Not in a morbid or hateful way, the ninth man had died. But they were still alive. That was something to be happy about. A simple, uncomplicated joy, Junpei thought. The joy of being alive. Still alive. He felt sorry for the ninth man. But more than anything, Junpei was just happy to be alive.
This is bad, though. If the red isn't working, we can't keep going.
What about that big hallway? Maybe there's somewhere in there we might be able to go.
No, there's nothing there.
The five of us had a quick look. There were a great many rooms, although none of them appeared to have held patients for quite some time.
Patients? What, all those doors for hospitals?
Yep. Apparently, they have a number of individual rooms in addition to this large central one.
There was a door down at the end of the hallway, too, but it was locked.
It had one of those solar system mark things on it.
It was Jupiter.
Jupiter. I wonder what it means. Confusion was the consensus. And that reminds me, what's the deal with this big room? What is this thing? Was this some kind of huge passenger ship? No one appeared ready to offer an answer until Seven unexpectedly spoke up.
I bet it's a hospital ship. In fact, it's probably the Gigantic.
The Gigantic? Junpei looked at Seven, shocked by both his knowledge and the apparent identity of their prison. What's the Gigantic? Seven nodded to Lotus.
Well, the Gigantic was a sister ship to the Titanic, built in the 20th century. The Titanic actually had two sisters, identical to each other in almost every regard. The Gigantic was one of them. Initially intended to be a passenger liner like the Titanic, but after the ship was launched, the First World War began. It was pressed into duty by the British Navy as a hospital ship. Sometime later, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the Aegean Sea. Ran aground after the incident and wasn't sunk. What happened to it? Well, one theory was that a man named Lord Gordain purchased it. Lord Gordain had been one of the few survivors of the Titanic tragedy, and that trauma turned him into an obsessive collector of anything reminiscent to it. As his obsession deepened, he desired the Titanic itself. That was impossible. It lay at the bottom of the Atlantic. The Gigantic hadn't suffered such dire fate, though, and was identical to the sister ship, so it caught Lord Gordain's eye.
So Lord Gordain bought the ship, remastered it.
Yep, at least I think I am.
That's impossible. No way we're in some boat almost 100 years old. Pipe down, just pay attention. What, that's it? You got any proof?
Proof?
Proof this ship is the Gigantic?
Well, it's got stuff that's like the Titanic's, and it's a hospital ship, so I figured.
Oh, for goodness. Don't tell me that's your only reason.
No, I've got more.
Like?
Well,
Seven looked around, trying to avoid Lotus's piercing stare. He scratched his head, but gave up.
No.
I guess your memory isn't back yet, huh?
Sorry.
Almost as if to save Seven from further embarrassment. A bell rang.
It's midnight. We've got 6 hours left, right?
Let's just get moving. We gotta find that hardware the Red's missing.
That's all well and good, but where are we gonna look?
Well, we've already searched the big patient room.
They'd been examining the room as they talked.
We haven't found anything.
Right.
There's only one thing left to do.
Just one?
Well, not just one.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me we have to search all of these rooms?
Well, you already checked some of them, didn't you?
We each checked a single room, so 5 total.
Alright, that's 5 rooms we don't need to check. If we split it up, it won't be that bad. If each of us can do 6 rooms apiece, we'll have the other 48 cleared in no time.
There are 48 rooms?
Lotus didn't seem excited. Seven fidgeted.
Maybe?
After some discussion, the 8 of them decided which rooms to go with, and with the order. Junpei was chosen to search the rooms on the starboard side, moving forward aft. They determined when they would return from their findings. The next time the clock sounded the time. When it did, they'd meet back in the large central room full of beds. If, during their search, any of them found some of the missing components, they'd yell to the others. Should this fail, they'd discuss their options afterward. The details decided, they left to begin searching. An hour passed. Nothing. Ace, Santa, Clover, June, 7, Lotus. They'd gathered in front of the 8 door. Or, to be accurate, in front of the red. Had one of them found the parts?
What happened?
Jumpy, look!
She was pointing to the red. It was active. Come on, guys, who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found the parts.
Well,
Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked just as confused, but kept silent. What's up with you guys? Well, that's the thing. We don't know. You don't know? When I got back, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing parts were back in the red. Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot that had been open on the bottom was covered with metal. Whatever had been missing had been returned. What about the other two? The same. Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still confused, he returned to the others. Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has any idea what the hell happened, right? Ace and June nodded. Seven raised his hands as if to say, not me. Santa shrugged. Only Clover lowered her head and said nothing. Wait a minute. Where's Snake? Junpei swept his eyes across the room. Snake was nowhere to be seen. Did he find them? I've no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either. I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person.
Well, whatever he did or didn't do, he was pretty damn late. What the hell is he up to?
maybe he's lost?
Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see. I don't know how he gets around in the first place. Clover raised her head.
That's impossible. My brother's blind, yeah, but he's got around really great hearing. He can get around as well as anyone who could see. So he couldn't get lost. That's impossible.
Clover had started to shake. The knuckles of her hands turned white. She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears in her eyes.
I'm going to look for him.
The words were barely out of her mouth when she ran off.
Hey! Hold on!
Junpei cried out to her, but he was too slow. She kept going, but before anyone else could react, she was gone. What do we do now? Well, the red is working.
We're not leaving two people behind. Let's go look for them.
This ain't good.
Oh, sure, what an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some piece of electronic junk. Now let's waste some time, some more, by looking for a couple of idiots.
Then remain here if you feel you must. There's no time. We've only 5 hours left.
Junpei and the others nodded to one another, took off at a run. At the B-deck stairs, they split up, assigned their search areas, went their separate ways. Junpei and June stayed behind for a bit. And we should go too.
But where do we start?
Well, what about the casino?
Sure.
Before they knew it, they were there. So was Lotus, leaning against the wall. Hey, what do you think you're doing? She glanced up at him, unimpressed. Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake. I'm just not seeing it. Really? Maybe you need to look harder. Junpei didn't think that was the problem. By the way, I've got a proposal for you two. Care to hear it? What's up? Well, I don't like to beat around the bush, so I'll get around to it. Why don't we team up? Team up? What, you need me to explain it? I'm saying, why don't we go through a numbered door?
Even if we wanted to, that's impossible.
Why?
Jumpy's got 5, I've got 6, you've got 8. Our route is 1. There's no one door in the large room. The only ones there are 3, 7, and 8.
Then we add another person.
Huh?
Who? Isn't it simple? 7. She was right. If they added 7, they could go through the number 8 door. Hold on. What about the other 4? Why don't you add them up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Digital route 1. Again, you do know there isn't a number 1 door. Duh.
Are you saying we'd leave them behind?
Of course not. What kind of a woman do you think I am? Once we get off the ship, we come back, rescue them. We wouldn't really be leaving them behind.
Don't try to lie to us.
I don't think you'd do anything of the sort. Really? Why do you think that?
You remember? We have less than 5 hours. Even if we manage to escape, there's no way we could come back to rescue them.
Well, you never know unless you try.
No.
No, you're not thinking this through. Even if we brought 7, we wouldn't be able to open a number 9 door.
Exactly. Our route is 8. No matter what combination we have, we can't make a 9. We'd have to bring Ace.
Ah. Well, that's unfortunate. She didn't seem bothered by what Junpei had said, nor surprised.
Let's try to find another way. A way to get out of here with all 8 of us.
Impossible. Are you being serious? You do know that only 5 at most can go through one of the numbered doors, right? The number 9 isn't gonna be an exception to the rule. Regardless, at least 3 people will get left behind. You're right. When we said it, Junpei felt a chill. It was true. How Lotus could remain cavalier about so terrifying a prospect was beyond him. When they'd found a number 9 door, they'd have to choose which of them would die. Do you think I could have a moment alone? There's some things I need to think about. Junpei and June turned, left Lotus behind. Talking to her had left them ill. But despite sluggish steps, he told himself pessimism would get them nowhere. He forced himself to smile. And let's just focus on finding Snake.
We can think about those other things later.
Let's try the first class cabin. It's close. Outside the first class cabin, they found Clover, standing in front of the wall. staring at a meaningless point, her eyes blank. Are you alright? He did his best to sound friendly. Clover didn't respond. Look, I know you're really worried, but, he couldn't exactly think of anything to say, and that didn't sound hollow and fake. Junpei hesitated. Clover was so consumed by worry and fear for her brother. Junpei feared it would crush her. Her actions didn't surprise him. Her voice was thin, barely audible.
I said leave me alone!
She was screaming.
You're so annoying! Go away! Leave me alone! Just looking at you guys is pissing me off! Go away, okay? Just go somewhere else! Stop bothering me!
Junpei was taken aback. Such anger and hatred. June's eyes went wide with surprise as well.
Why are you still here? Didn't you hear me? Fine. Forget it. If you aren't gonna leave, I'll just... Alright.
Alright. Let's go, June.
Yeah.
They turned, left. Junpei looked once back over his shoulder. Saw Clover wiping tears from her face. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation, but Junpei told himself he wouldn't get depressed. For Clover's sake, they needed to find Snake, and fast. Let's go back to C deck. We could take a look at the hallway there with all the rooms.
Okay.